Keep going.
I suppose the most obvious question is, how can I trust you?
Bingo. It is a pickle, no doubt about it. Bad news is there's no way if you can really know whether I'm here to help you or not. So it's really up to you. Just have to make up your own damn mind to either accept what I'm going to tell you or reject it. Candy?
Do you already know if I'm going to take it?
Wouldn't be much of an oracle if I didn't.
But if you already know, how can I make a choice?
Because you didn't come here to make the choice. You've already made it. You're here to try to understand why you made it. I thought you'd have figured that out by now.
Hey, what's up, folks? This is going to be part 7 of the Moynihan Report, the analysis of the Moynihan Report, continuing with the tangle of pathology. But the reason you didn't, I want to say the reason you didn't get a clip of Moynihan or something related to him in the opening is because I wanted to address something that's been going on in the comment section and on my channel, period. I put the clip in with Neo and the Oracle sitting on the bench talking about game in the Matrix. And the thing she said is that you guys are not here to make a choice. You're beyond that. I believe the subscribers that follow me are beyond the low-level thinking about making a choice, about going back and forth about sexual mating and whatnot. I believe that my subs are at that level to want to know why they make a choice or why choices are made. Why does government do a particular thing, which is at the policy level, which is at the managerial level? They do things to solve the problems. The thing is, why do they make certain policies over another policy? What are they trying to balance? What is the atmosphere around what they're doing? What are they looking at when they make the choice? That's why I believe, that's what I am teaching, and that's why I believe that you are here. This is at the PhD level, because I've been around amongst PhDs with a lot of people that have 3 letters in front of their name, that have had more schooling than an education than you know, on God's green earth, right? At all levels, from Ivy League on down. Okay, this is the stuff that they talk about. They don't talk about the ground level stuff because they know that what they decide at the top is going to filter down and direct what you're talking about. This is civilizational level. This is geopolitical level. This is the stuff that affects your life and your future every day. A lot of stuff that I talk about, a lot of stuff that my think tank comes up with, this stuff is at least 2 to 5 years ahead of where you're at. And sometimes it's even 10. And like she says, you're going to have to make a choice of why you're here and whether to take the information that I give and believe it or discard it. It's being given. So there's a lot of low-level debate going on about, you know, I'm aiming to at a particular subscriber. You know who you are. That's going on back and forth about bullshit. It's not about black or white. It's not about male or female. There's forces behind forces there's forces in the environment and the civilization that direct policy. That policy that they come up with, which are remedies to whatever the problems are that are on the ground, and that policy will direct behavior. It'll direct money, it'll direct behavior, it'll direct business, it'll direct a whole bunch of other things that are included. And they know this. And this is the stuff, this is how things and decisions are actually made, which is why I'm trying to get at it. So I'm not trying to talk about regular, ordinary garden variety bullshit about East versus West, or what people did when they came to whatever. We already know that. We've already discussed that. But there's reasons why that happened. There's reasons why those people are how they are, and that's what we're trying to get to. So stick to the facts inside the video. There's a reason I'm teaching it this particular way. I could go over the Moynihan Report in less than 30 minutes, but I'm going line by line, discussing it, showing you what the game is. And a lot of people aren't getting it. You think you're getting it, and you're not. This is not checkers. This is not addition and subtraction. This is high-level calculus. This is grandmaster chess on the grand scale board. I've been doing this stuff for 20 years. I've been talking about this stuff publicly for 15. I'm trying to bring you up slowly. I could choke this channel with high level geopolitical stuff that you probably would not understand because you don't have the background for it. I'm trying to bring you up slowly. Stop dragging yourself backward with the other bullshit. You can get that from any place. There's millions of channels on YouTube. There's other black people that will discuss, will talk about bitches and hoes and how to get them and whatnot. There's millions of channels that'll do that. We do that from time to time, but the thing is, I'm trying to illustrate a particular point. This is a master's class or PhD level class on YouTube. This is what it is. It's not for everybody. That's how come only a quarter of the people actually come here and look at this stuff. That's how come only a few people are actually commenting. And that's why there's only 30 to 40 people in my book section, because the stuff is deep. It's hard to digest and you have to get it line by line, but it will open up your world. I could actually get paid for this if I took one of the cultural centers, taught a class, and got $5 to $10 per student, and it's worth more than that. If I had a 3 letters in front of my name and I taught this class, you would be paying at least $1,000 per person for the semester. There's cats that write books on this stuff, but they're not going to tell you what I'm telling you here. Pay attention, do your homework, take it line by line. If you got questions, ask. Don't drag the conversation down. Elevate the conversation, bring other things to it. There's a reason I talk about culture. There's a reason I talk about structure. That's what this is talking about. So all the other things that I've been talking about on my channel will prepare you to understand this document. There's a reason why people don't want you to read this document, because it was never meant for you. It was meant for the managers to read so they can actually do something about it. It was never meant for your eyes because they knew you wouldn't understand it. That's why I am breaking it down for you so you can get a peek into it and you can actually go out and use this stuff. And trust me, you can actually go out and use this stuff. But anyway, let's continue now that I've gotten my rant over with. I started to make a separate rant, but now that I've gotten my rant over with, we're going to continue. Sometimes you got to shut up, sit down, pay attention, and take notes. These are one of those times. Now, this is something that Simone 5-6 was touching upon, and I tried to touch upon this. This is also something that I put in as far as my response to Sergeant Willie Pete. We're talking about matriarchy and the tangle of pathology. You can go to that and see what I said about this. But this part is one of the things that they talk about, and this is what the black feminist movement didn't want you to see. Because this is game, this is high level game, this is civilizational level game right here. Whitney Young, historically, in the matriarchal Negro society, mothers made sure if one of their children had a chance for higher education, the daughter was the one to pursue it. You always hear the stories about little girls or grown women who have PhDs. What did their mother tell them? Child, get your education. Why is she telling that? Because you don't want to be cleaning up in Miss Ann's house. They told her, you want to be Miss Ann. You don't want to be cleaning up Miss Ann's house like I have been done for the last 30 years. My grandmother said the same thing. The effect on family function and the role performance of this historical experience, economic deprivation, is what you might predict. Both as a husband and as a father, the Negro male is made both as a husband and as a father. The Negro male is made to feel inadequate. Not because he's unlovable or unaffectionate, lacks intelligence, or even a gray flannel suit. But in a society that measures a man by the size of his paycheck, he doesn't stand very tall in comparison with his white counterpart. This stuff has not gone away, folks. That's what you hear the swirlers that come into the section saying to. You ain't built shit, right? This is what they're saying, but they don't know that the structure of the black family is fucked up. To this situation, he may react with withdrawal. Look at this. Come on now, look at this. He may act with withdrawal, bitterness towards society, aggression, both within the family and racial group, self-hatred, or crime. This is 50 years ago. And he's writing from studies that were done 20 to 30 years before he wrote this. So if you add it together, this stuff is 80 years ago. And it's still happening. Or he may escape through a number of avenues that help him to lose himself in fantasy to compensate for his low status through a variety of exploits. So you see the pimps, the players, the baby daddies. You see the guys playing video games. You see the guys trying to escape through sports, drugs, and alcohol. This is where it comes from. All this is where it comes from. This is high level game. This is structural. Thomas Pettigrew, the Negro wife in this situation, can easily become disgusted with her financially dependent husband. And her rejection of him further alienates the male from family life. We're still talking the same game. This is well before the 80s. This is well before welfare. Embittered by their experience with men, many Negro mothers often act to perpetuate. Look at this. Look at this. We're not talking 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. This stuff is in the 30s. And it still is today. And women wonder why it's happening. Embittered by their experiences experiences with men. What are the chicks on YouTube? This is the gender war. Long before the gender war was on YouTube. Embittered by their experience with men, many Negro mothers often act to perpetuate the mother-centered pattern by taking greater interest in their daughters than their sons. This is the matriarchy that they're talking about. This is why the feminists did not want this out, because they don't want to solve the problem. Denton Brooks, in a matriarchal structure, women are transmitting culture. Look at this. Dorothy Height, if the Negro woman has a major underlying concern, it is the status of the Negro man, his position in the community, and his need for feeling himself an important person, free and able to make his contribution in the whole society in order that he may strengthen his home. The shit didn't just start. Duncan M. McIntyre, the Negro illegitimacy rate always has been high, about 8 times the white rate in 1940. And somewhat higher today, even though the white illegitimacy rate is also climbing. The Negro statistics are symptomatic of the old socioeconomic Look at this. The Negro statistics are symptomatic of the old socioeconomic problems, not the least of which are underemployment among Negro men. That's something Du Bois talked about in the Philadelphia Negro. And compensating higher labor force propensity among Negro women. This is well before feminism. Both operate to enlarge the mother's role, undercutting the status of the male and making many Negro families essentially matriarchal. See this? See this? There was no male patriarchy in the Negro or the black community. There never has been. The Negro man's uncertain employment prospects, matriarchy, and the high cost of divorces combine to encourage desertion. The poor man's divorce. This is what women talk about when they said the man leaves the family, right? They never talk about her ejecting the man from the family. Increases the number of couples not married, and thereby also increases the Negro illegitimacy rate. That's why I played the thing. I put up the video about the chick talking about promises I can keep. Why women choose motherhood before marriage. That goes back, especially in the black community. It goes back to this. I mean, it happens in the white community, but it goes back to this. In the meantime, higher Negro birth rates are increasing the non-white population, while migration into cities like Detroit, New York, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. is making the public assistant roles in such cities heavy, even predominantly Negro. It was a problem to them. They were trying to figure out how to solve the problem because their remedy for white people was not working for black people, and they wanted to figure out why. This is why the damn thing was written. This is high level managerial policy stuff. This stuff wasn't written for you. It was written for them so they could figure out how to solve the doggone problem. Their problem, not yours. Robert N. Williams, Jr., in a study of Elmira, New York, only 57% of Negro adults reported themselves as married. This is back then. As married and spouse present, as compared with 78% of native white American Gentiles, 91% of Italian American, and 96% of Jewish informants. Of the 93 unmarried Negro youths interviewed, 22% did not have their mother living in the home with them. In other words, a lot of them were abandoned by their mother and raised by grandparents or other relatives because their mother had to work. This is back then. This was common. If you look at Tina Turner's story, What's Love Got to Do with It? What did she do? She left her daughter with her grandmother. So this was common back then. And 42% reported that their father was not living in their home. 1/3 of the youths did not know their father's present occupation. And 2/3 of the sample of the 150 Negro adults did not know the occupation of their father's father, what their father's father had been. 40% of the youth said they had brothers and sisters living in other communities. We ain't going to talk about that. We're going to go on about that because we could talk about this all day. 40% reported relatives living in their home who were not parents, siblings, or grandparent. In other words, and this last part talks about the extended family, the clan of the black family that actually came out of Africa, and how when they first came to the other urban community, they were trying to recreate that particular structure. Black people do not and never have had a nuclear family structure. Still to this day, we stick to our old clan-based or extended family structure. The failure of youth. Williams' account of Negro youth growing up with little knowledge of their fathers, less of their father's occupation, still less of family occupational traditions, in sharp contrast with the experience of white children. That what does that mean? Is that you have a broken culture. You have a broken line of history. Your culture was smashed. Whereas white people are more successful because they know what their fathers did. A lot of merchants that come from the Middle East, they can trace their fact that they were merchants and shopkeepers thousands of years back. Black people don't have that. The white family, despite many variants, remains a powerful agency not only for transmitting property from one generation to the next, but also for transmitting no less valuable contexts in the world of education and work. In an earlier age, the carpenters, Wainwrights, weavers, mercers, farmers, and smiths acquired their names as well as their trades from their fathers and their... Look at this. This is what's going on. This is what's wrong with black culture. Farmers acquired their names as well as their trades from their fathers and grandfathers. This is culture. Children today still learn the patterns of work from their fathers, even though they may no longer go into the same jobs. White children without fathers at least perceive all about them the pattern of men working. Negro children without fathers flounder and fail. They knew this 50, 60. That's how come they never wanted this document to see the light of day. Because then the government will be responsible for this stuff. Not always, to be sure. The Negro community produces its share, very possibly more than its share, of young people who have something extra that carries them over the worst obstacles. But such persons are always in the minority. The common run of young people in a group facing serious obstacles to success do not succeed. I can't mark up the whole document, folks. I cannot mark up the whole documents. A prime index of the disadvantage of Negro youth in the United States is their consistently poor performance on the mental tests that are standard means of measuring ability and performance in the present generation. There is absolutely no question of any genetic differential. Intelligence potential is distributed among Negro infants in the same proportion and pattern as among Icelanders or Chinese or any other group. American society, however, impairs Negro potential. The statement of the Harlem Report that there is no basic disagreement over the fact that Central Harlem students are performing poorly in school may be taken as true of Negro slum children throughout the United States. He's saying, as he said earlier, Harlem is the pinnacle of the best of ghettos in the United States. So what's true for Harlem is doubly true for every place else. And they're showing a chart of IQ of the national, and they're showing the IQ of the you can see the drop, how they start closer and the drop as they go further into grade school. A lot of this stuff is cultural. A lot of this because white kids get taught at home. They learn stuff at home, and there's a breakdown in culture amongst Negro kids or black kids because they're already behind when they enter school. But that's a different story. That's another video. 8th grade children in Central Harlem have a median IQ of 87.7, which means that perhaps a third of the children are scoring at levels perilously near those of retardation. IQ declines in the first decade of life, rising only slightly thereafter. In other words, if you start behind, you're gonna get further behind, and you will never catch up. The effect of broken families in the performance of Negro youth has not been extensively measured, but studies have been made to show an unmistakable influence. Can we say Head Start? They were trying to correct this mistake, okay? But without the cultural part, without family involvement, guess what's going to happen? It's not going to work, which is something he was trying to tell you. Martin Deutsch and Bert Brown, investigating intelligence test differences between Negro and white first and fifth graders of different social classes, found that there is a direct relationship between social class and IQ. As one rises, so does the other, but for more for whites than Negroes. This is surely a result of housing segregation referred to earlier and makes it difficult for middle-class Negro families to escape the slums. The authors explain that it is much more difficult for the Negro to attain identical middle or upper class status with whites, and the social class gradations are less marked for Negroes because Negro life in a caste society, what have I been saying, is considerably more homogeneous than it is life for the majority group. What I've been saying, without structural change, you cannot escape this caste system. So it drags down the rich or the upper class black people as it does the lower class black people, which is something that Sergeant Willie Pete is struggling with, if he happens to look at this video. Therefore, the authors look for background variables other than social class, which might explain the difference. One of the most striking differences between the Negro and white groups is the consistently higher frequency of broken homes and resulting in family disorganization in the Negro group. Does it matter about class? Does it matter about class? The divorce rate for black people is double what the national average is. You know, back in 2010, the divorce rate was over 70%. I think it might be up to 80. And 80% of the divorces are caused by who? Caused by black women. Because of the matriarchal structure and culture that is embedded in black people and is getting passed down that has never been fixed. It doesn't matter if you have 3 letters in front of your name. It doesn't matter that you're earning $1 million a year. Look at Sierra and Future and all those other folks. It still filters in. It's hard to escape it. You have to fix it. You can't run from it because you carry it with you. Further, they found that children from homes where fathers are present have a significantly higher scores than children in homes without fathers. Look at Barack. Look at Michelle Obama. She was raised in the heart of Chicago. What was the difference between her and all the her other peers? She had a father and a mother that actually worked together to push those children forward. Her father and her mother sacrificed themselves to push her and her brother forward, and they became Ivy League students. It ain't about money. He hit a clock just like everybody else. That's how come he succeeded, his family succeeded, his children succeeded, and everybody else didn't. It's not rocket science. Further, they found that children from homes where fathers are present have a significantly higher scores than children in homes without fathers. It's like almost a 10% difference. The influence of fathers' presence has, when then tested within social classes and school grades for Negroes alone, they found a consistent trend within both. Grades at the lower SES social class level appears. In no case is there a reversal of this trend. For males, females, and the combined group, the IQs of children with fathers in the home are always higher than those who have no father in the home. The authors say that broken homes may also account for some of the difference between Negro and white intelligence scores. The scores of 5th graders with fathers absent were lower than the scores of 1st graders with fathers absent. And while authors point out that it is cross-sectional data and does not reveal the duration of the father's absence, what we might be tapping is the cumulative effect of fatherlessness years. The difference in ability to perform has its counterpart in statistics on actual school performance. Non-white boys from families with both parents present are more likely to be going to school than boys with only one parent present. And enrollment rates are even lower when neither parent is present. When boys from broken homes are in school, they do not do as well as boys from whole families. Grade retardation is higher when only one parent is present, and highest when neither parent is present. The loneliness of Negro youth in making fundamental decisions about education is shown in a 1959 study of Negro and white dropouts in Connecticut high schools. Only 29% of the Negro male dropouts discussed their decision to drop out of school with their fathers, compared with 65% of the white males. 38% of the Negro males were from broken homes. In fact, 26% of Negro males did not discuss this major decision in their lives with anyone at all, compared with only 8% of white males. A study of Negro apprenticeship by the New York State Commission Against Discrimination in 1960 concluded Negro youth are seldom exposed to influences that can lead to apprenticeships. Negroes are not apt to have relatives, friends, or neighbors in skilled occupations. Nor are they likely to be in secondary schools where they receive encouragement and direction from alternate role models. Within minority community, skilled Negro models after whom the Negro youth might pattern himself are rare, while substitute sources which could provide the direction, encouragement, resources, and information needed to achieve skilled craft standing are non-existent. This is structural. And I see we're up against the clock here. Gonna leave the chart up. We're gonna get into this a little bit more. I told you this is a big game heavy section. I'm gonna try to finish it up on the next one. But please, elevate the discussion. Elevate the discussion. Get into game. Get into structure. This is stuff that you can add. You know, they talked about this paper at Harvard. They're back discussing this paper at Harvard. In the Ivy League circles, they're discussing this paper. You can get, if you understand this game, you can talk to PhDs about this stuff. But it's going to take work. You know, I can't pre-digest everything for you. So please, like my teacher used to tell me, study your material. If you've been into higher level math, it's not about the problems. It's studying the procedures and the structure of what you're talking about. It's the formulas that you want. It's the definitions that you want. This is how you can apply. These are the tools that you need to solve problems. So please, elevate. Let's elevate the discussion. Let's elevate this stuff. You know, don't just listen to me. Break out the document. Read it for yourself. Apply it to your life, because it's all, because this structure permeates Black life from the highest to the lowest. Anyway, this is BGS out, and I'll talk to you on the next one.